Welcome back to Basin Motorsports for another day here in the garage. So this week we're going to continue on with our collaboration effort for 2020. And this week the creator I'm working with is the Infamous Project. Now a lot of you guys probably know him for his Foxbody Mustang content, but he goes a lot deeper into that over the last 10 years. And I really thought, man, how am I going to really give a nice clean summary of his a lot of the work he's done over the last 10 years. And I thought, I'm not even going to try. I'm going to let him tell you about his channel. So here's what he has to say.
I've loved cars since I was young, more specifically Fox bodies. Had my first one at the age of 15. I couldn't even tell you how many Fox bodies I've owned over the years. You know, I'm not 100% loyal to Fox bodies. I'm kind of agnostic in terms of, you know, the types of cars that I like. I've done lots of BMWs, E36s, E39s. You know, I have my Ford Lightnings that I've had in the past and still have one. The Dodge Ram SRT10, which I also own. So owning oil and vinegar in some instances, but you know what? I just kind of like what I like. And I started doing online videos 10 years ago now when I first live streamed the Infamous Project. And the Infamous Project was a live vlog, so to speak, of streaming myself restoring two cars in my own garage, all DIY, basic hand tools. That was everything from, you know, engine modification, suspension, exhaust. I did body and paint in there. I did everything, and then ended up showing the cars at a local Performance World car show in Toronto, Ontario. So I didn't really do much after that. I carried on with a normal career. I've been living out in the Middle East for almost 10 years now in Dubai. Behind me you can see sort of my little, you know, corner, my shrine, so to speak, of some of my past projects, some license plates. And, you know, I haven't really had the opportunity while I've been over here to really focus on my passions. So that's why I've been more active in the past 6 months, trying to release more videos. Everything that you see that I do is typically stuff back home when I'm visiting, and then I edit it when I'm back over here. So I'm hoping to do more in the future and to put more out there, release more. So I'm really excited for that, and hopefully you guys are excited too.
Now with that introduction, I think this is going to be a great episode for you to stick around and watch all of them. Again, we're going to ask the same 15 questions that we asked for the last creator, and these are going to be his answers and his answers alone. So you might find that he is complimentary to everything we've done so far, or he may go on his own with some of the answers, but it's going to be fun to find out what he says. So the first question we always go into is, what is the first set or the first set of tools or the first tool that someone should get when they first get into automotive or car enthusiasts?
What is the first tool set that I would recommend someone should buy? This one, you know, a lot of people would probably say a big socket set, or, you know, maybe just go out and buy half the parts store or get a toolbox. Really depends on what it is that you're going to be building. So, you know, are you going to be restoring a car? Are you just stripping a car? Are you doing body and paint? So depending on the project that you're trying to do, I would start with buying those tools. And as another colleague had mentioned in one of his videos, you know, he couldn't stress the importance of buying a quality tool. You want something with a warranty. You want something that's going to last. And, you know, I still have my tool set from when I was 15 years old as a gift. So it's really important that you get something that's quality. You don't even need to get, you know, Snap-on toolkit. You can go with Craftsman. Craftsman has a lifetime guarantee. You walk in, hand your tool, and they'll give you a new one back. So definitely, depending on what the project is, buy your tools according to the project.
All right, so I can definitely agree with that. I think it's going to be what you're going to get into. I think I had said originally probably a big socket set, because that's what I use a lot, especially through all my stuff. Probably on the basics, I think that's something I got initially, was a toolbox with a socket set. And I think that is a great answer. Go with what you need first, and then just continue on, build on from there. All right, so question 2 for the Infamous Project. With magazines continually going out of print, where do you think media is headed in the next 5 years?
So I think that based on all of the online resources out there, you know, now there's online subscriptions that you need to buy, but it's all going to be more personalized. There's more content, more information, more media that's constantly available to us, and it's almost challenging to filter through that. And we probably notice that with all the emails that we get and notifications on a daily basis. The question is how can we take that and personalize it specific to us? And now Google does an amazing job with Google Ads. We're always curious on, sometimes we were talking about a certain topic, then all of a sudden we see an ad for it on our screen while we're browsing the internet. So there is the ability to do that, and I think that that's what it's going to come down to. We all used to buy magazines, and maybe we'd just buy them for one article or maybe two, and some customer features or user builds at the back of the magazine, and that's really all that you wanted to buy the magazine for. So I think by online we will be given that opportunity to be able to personalize the content that we want to see when we want to see it.
So I'm going to totally agree with that. I think personalization really is what you're going to see. But I will say I find it sometimes extremely annoying that my phone is listening and then wants to give me ads on anything that shows up, especially when it's like a radio commercial. Come on now. We got to have some better filters on that. But the magazines, you can see right up here, those are all leftover magazines. I have bookshelves over there. I have them up here. I have them back here on the desktop on my counter and that. So that's probably one thing I'm going to do this year is probably organize those. But I will agree, I used to buy magazines just for one or two articles, and now you almost can just go out and search and find them. And even the history of stuff, even 50 years ago, is probably somewhere online. So question 3 is going to be about technology. What technology are you looking forward to the most in the near future?
The ability to innovate at an individual level. So before, where we always relied on the big aftermarket automotive suppliers to create aftermarket parts for our cars, I think now the average individual who creates something in his or her own home, with their own ideas, that affordability or that marketability of somebody who creates something now, like, throwing it up on YouTube and saying, hey, I built this. And I think bringing all of those ideas together with the technology that we have today is going to be the most exciting thing. So it's not like everyone needs to buy the same suspension component because it's the only one available. Maybe there's 20 different options now. Now that's going to come with a whole other challenge of how do you filter out which component is better when there's so many available. So, there's ways to combat that, user feedback and, having really good success stories and whatnot to be able to back your quality product. So that's what I would say for technology in the future.
I will say I can't wait, based on his answer, to see the individual results people can come up with. I know when I went to college 20 years ago, they were just coming out with 3D CAD. And you're thinking now that's kind of standard, that almost, I think high school kids are doing that now. But when I was a senior in college, they just were coming out with it. And it was just such basic stuff. So I've only ever done 2D AutoCAD. I've done the part to, blow it apart to make stuff when I worked for Nissan and that. But taking that from a big corporate culture and breaking that down to something like you could see here on a desktop here in the garage or something, a 3D printer, or making my own parts and that. And then, like you said, getting user feedback. I think that is going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see what the future holds on it. Now, I know you have done a lot of work over the last 10 years between body paint, a lot of assembly, disassembly. You've built some fantastic Fox bodies. What is going to be the favorite tool you have there in your garage?
So my favorite tool has been the same since I found it. And this is going back probably 15 years. I was in a junkyard pulling parts, and in the trunk of a BMW, I believe, I found a swivel head socket wrench, and somebody must have put it down there, forgot it was there because it was in perfect working order. It was a Craftsman, and I've been using this thing regularly ever since I found it, and that's why it's my favorite tool and will probably always be my favorite tool. And I'll probably be really upset the day that it breaks, if it breaks. Hopefully it won't. It is a Craftsman, but man, that thing has got into the craziest places where I thought I wouldn't be able to take something apart, and it's done the job. So swivel head socket wrench is my favorite tool right now.
See, that's now something I've never had in my collection, is a swivel head socket wrench. So maybe one day when I'm out pulling parts, I will find one. but I don't normally shop for BMW stuff, so maybe that's the key, and that's why I haven't found one. I've never gone to look for BMW parts. Maybe that is the key. All right, so question 5, Mr. Infamous. What is going to be your dream build?
And I think my dream build was achieved with the 1993 Tip Detch Coupe. That was a really important build to me. It goes back to my first memories of Foxbody Mustangs, and that's just an amazing car that I'm extremely proud of. Now, with that said, there's always the next step. So for now, my dream build would have to be my dad's 1958 Corvette. It is so close to being completed, and the paint's done, the driveline is done, the interior is pretty much done. It's basically assembly is required at this stage, and that is something that I would love to get finished up sooner than later for him so that he could drive and enjoy the car. He's had it for decades, and it hasn't been on the road since I believe the late 70s. So that would be my dream build right now, is getting that car done for him. Unfortunately, time and logistics of me being over here, it's one of those projects that you need to be able to just commit a month's worth of time straight to, so that the first week is just sort of getting yourself organized, and then assembly from there, and going forward. So that one is the dream build right now, guys.
Now, if you haven't seen the infamous Project Detch Coupe, you are missing out. Go over to his channel, look it up. It is a fantastic build. It's something definitely to be proud of. But I will say, increasing that beyond that to a 58 Vet, even if it needs to be assembled, is going to be a fantastic project when it gets on the road. So either of those, I think, is something to be definitely enviable and proud of. But I will say, after watching his interview, I always said deck, like a CK. I never knew it was like a DECH, like a Detch. So I get to learn something today. It's called a Detch, the Detch Motorsports. And I think you watch his channel, he'll come up with some of the stuff on the background of Detch. Something I'm looking forward to, because I don't really know anything about it. It's Canadian, I believe, and something new I'm going to learn. And I think that's cool about it. All right, so question 6 is concerning kind of a personal thing, and it's about being fearful of a content creator. And really something, and this is one of the things I had asked of everybody, is what do you fear most as being a content creator? Because there's a lot of things out there to be scary of. Here's what his answer is.
I had to think about this one before doing the video some, and to be honest, it just kind of hit me, and it wasn't the normal answer that I thought I would have come up with. The fear is actually that I can't keep up with the amount of engagement that comes forward as you gain followers or subscribers. One thing that I've noticed, especially as my Instagram has grown, that you get a lot of direct messages, a lot of inquiries from people that want help and support, and that's sort of why I started this in the beginning. It's all do-it-yourself based, and I wanted to be able to help other people so that they can do it themselves. And I love being able to respond to everyone individually and personally. So I think if I ever got to the point where I was getting so many inquiries that I couldn't keep up with it, that would be my biggest fear. I want to make sure that it's me that's responding, and I know people are following me for me. It's not for the brand or a logo. I'm not that famous, so that's my biggest fear.
So I think that's a warranted fear. I know most of us, when we start as small creators and that gets started, it's very easy to keep up with comments. You don't get a lot of them, but hopefully, if that's what you're looking for, is that you get so big that it becomes difficult to keep up with everything. Now, it's something I haven't experienced yet. Some stuff's delayed in that, but I think that's a warranted fear, that you get so big that you lose that personal contact with your subscribers or viewers or fans or whatever you want to call them. I think that's an awesome one. All right, so question 7 is going back to tools. What is going to be your next tool purchase?
As some of you might know, I've recently acquired a property in Texas, quite a nice sized shop, but an empty shop, aside from having some cars in it. But my tool game is very weak now. For the past decade, I've been relying on a lot of very close friends and their shops and their tools. I still have some of mine, that can do the basics, but now it's time to up my game. So I honestly need everything. I need some 4-post lifts. I need tool cabinets. I need tool chests. I need, some nice 18-volt, tools so that I can, actually be on this this new innovative front of cordless impacts and sockets and everything else. So it's going to be fun buying all that stuff, and also going to be expensive, but hey, I need it. So that's going to be my next tool purchases.
So I think the interesting answer there, one, is that he has a new shop. Now, if you haven't realized that he does have this shop, I think he mentions it or gives you pictures of it on Instagram. So you can check that out over on his Instagram. I actually thought that shop, what I think is his Texas shop, was in Canada. And I think I know it's in Texas. But anyway, buying basically starting from scratch, I think is going to be an interesting adventure, because there are a lot of brands out there for lifts and tools and everything else. Maybe he will put together a series of putting that shop together. You guys can go over there and tell him, hey, we want to see that. To start from scratch, maybe he does a shop build of how to outfit it with everything, the decisions that go into what he's buying, and he can make a pretty good series for that. So I'm going to give him that suggestion. You guys want to do the same, you can drop by and say, hey, by the way, we want to see that. Show us all the stuff you're buying and how it's going in and everything. It should be pretty good. Okay, so the next question is concerning automotive celebrities. Which automotive celebrity that you haven't met before would you like to get a cup of coffee with?
This is sort of a challenging question for me, because in the past year, I've ticked off the most important boxes in terms of meeting who I've wanted to meet, and that includes Vanilla Ice, Joe Martin from Martin Brothers, and Adam and Pam from Detroit/Mob Steel. Something that all of those individuals have in common is that they are extremely true to themselves, and when you meet them in person, it's the same person that was represented when you saw them on TV. And I think that that's really important. And, I like humble people. I understand there's some other automotive celebrities that, they're more entrepreneurial based. I do have a little bit of entrepreneurial in me, but I would hate to change, who I am. I don't believe in changing for the camera. I say that now, who knows, maybe that changes. I know people change, times change, circumstances change, but that's really important to me. And right now, and I think it was Canaan that said it from Basin Motorsports, Jesse James, I'd love to meet him. He's in the Austin area as well. Been to his shops, but never met him in person. And someone that has that creative mindset and has done the stuff that he's done, I'd love the opportunity to sit down and have a coffee with him.
Now, hold on now, you're giving away all my answers. You can't take my answer of Jesse James. That one's mine. But I agree, that was a good one. Really? You got to meet Vanilla Ice? Now, I think recently he came out with his convertible, wasn't it? And his rolling in 5.0 video that was restored recently. So that was kind of cool. So that's nice that you got to meet him. I've never met the people from Mob Steel or the Martin Brothers. So you've got a leg up on me. But that's great. I'm glad you have an answer. And who knows? Maybe we'll both go to Jesse James together. That would be kind of fun. All right, so question 9. You're walking along in a warehouse and you come across a vehicle sitting there. It is yours. What do you hope to find abandoned in that warehouse?
So the barn find question. So this one you would probably say, oh, I want to find 93 Cobra or Cobra R. I'd actually like to find like an old 356 Porsche Cabrio, or maybe something a little bit more affordable, like a 2002 BMW, but something vintage and something cool along those lines. So that's what I'd like to find.
I can definitely agree with something vintage. I have an affinity for finding old junk cars. Now, vintage isn't necessarily junk, but that's my version of it. I don't have a lot of knowledge on BMW or Porsche, but who knows, that may change someday in the future. I can definitely say that Cobras and Cobra Rs are headed with the right value in the right direction. If you've seen Barrett Jackson over the last couple of years, the Cobra Rs are going for 6 figures, it seems like. So definitely helping the market in the right direction. All right, so question 10. What has been the worst the worst trend in automotive in the last 5 years?
In the past 5 years. And I am going to agree with the response that I heard from Throttle Stop Garage about bolting on fender flares onto your car for that wide body look. I've always said it since I started seeing the Liberty Walk kits coming out. I just don't understand why you want to hack up your body panels to screw something on. Like, I get it with Jeep guys and, mudding off-road vehicles. Those things hit trees and rocks, they get ripped off. So I can understand why you would want ABS plastic as your fender flares. Doing it on Lamborghinis, Ferraris, or anything else in between, to me just seems foolish. And I'm sorry for anybody out there who, likes it. To me, I have nothing against a wide body, personally. And Canaan, this from Basin, this is not a dig at you, because I love what you did with your car, because if you're making a wide body out of metal and out of panels and it looks like it belongs to the car, that's awesome. If you are hacking and cutting corners and bolting on plastic, I'm sorry, I can't buy into it. So to me, that's the worst automotive trend in the past 5 years.
Okay, so I passed the test. I'm not using ABS plastic, I'm using fiberglass. Now, you did mention going with an all-metal wide body. That was one of my goals for 2020, and I'm going to stick to it, even if I can't get to it. Maybe that's a 2021, but I agree somewhat. I'm not going to say I totally don't like the ABS flares if they look right. There are just a lot of bad copies out there that really, really look poor when done on any car. So I totally agree with that one, but we'll see where it takes. We'll see what goes up in the next 5 years, what's going to happen with those things. So keeping the theme with trends, what's going to happen, or what's going to be the next big trend in the next 5 years?
I'm not going to lie, guys. It took me 6 times to try and record this. It was like I knew what I wanted to say, but the words would just not come out properly. So I'm hoping this is the last time that I need to take this take. But what I think the next trend is going to be is people going against the trend. And maybe that's a millennial thing. I don't know. But the reason why I say that is because we have access to information and resources like we never did before. And I think that it allows people to inspire their creativity and to be able to come up with new ideas. And all of the DIY or self-help resource videos allows people to potentially try things on their own. And this isn't about building the next biggest SEMA build that's going to break the internet. This is more about others being able to modify or create when they wouldn't have typically before, because they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the means, they didn't have access. So I think that trend now is that there's so much information, they do have access, and they're going to attempt some more stuff. And whether it's just something really, really simple in terms of a modification, or maybe it's something extremely challenging. But I think that's going to be the trend. I think there's going to be more people trying to do stuff. And you know what? I think it's great. Some great ideas are going to come out of it. And that's sort of going back to my question about, the next technology. It's all going to come down to new innovation, new ideas, new concepts, and let's see what happens.
So I like that reference back to the other answer on individual technology and media, breaking it down. I can see people going against the grain. I think you're starting to see that. There's definitely, in Fox bodies alone, that's where I mostly hang out. You definitely see people that like I don't know if you want to call it the rough look or the mismatched panels. They're just doing kind of their own thing. They're not necessarily breaking the mold on everything, but they're just making it their own stuff. Some of it are just primer cars, some are multiple color cars. Just doing their own thing, I think, is fantastic. And I like the reference that he made back to previous answers of being individual style. That's something you don't see a lot of days. In Fox bodies or anything else, there's no or little individual style anymore. everything's almost copies of copies of copies. So I'm thankful that people are making it kind of fresh and new to themselves at least. All right, so question 12. What is the worst job you've ever had?
So I've had a lot of jobs over the years. I've bounced around multiple countries, multiple different industries, and the worst job that I had was when I was in college and I worked for a call center. Man, just it was great because there could be long extended periods of time when the phone wouldn't ring, but when it rang, it just gave me shivers. I actually ended up having nightmares about phones ringing at one point, so I quit that job and moved on. So that's the worst job I've ever had.
Thankfully, I can say I've never done a call center job. I knew going in I couldn't do it, so you are a brave man for even taking the challenge of giving it a shot. So question 13, what content creator would you like to work with in 2020?
This one it came to me with the snap of a finger. KSD Notch, and he owns a 1993 Termi swapped Foxbody Coupe and has recently launched his channel Blue Oval Media. I met Ken 2018 Foxtoberfest. He actually sent me a message on Instagram and was like, man, your car's at my hotel, it looks sick. And I went down, and we met then. We were parked across from one another at the Foxtoberfest show, and we've been in touch ever since. Super cool guy, super humble guy. I love how transparent he is. He's not afraid to, show not just the good, but the bad and the ugly. And he's gone through some challenges, and he's documenting that because I know a lot of us have probably gone through similar things at some point. So Ken, I'd love to do something with you. I know we've already talked about it, but we should try and make a point of that.
All right, now if you guys have never seen Ken's black Terminator swap notchback, I believe he's doing a full documentation on his channel called Blue Oval Media. Now I will put a link up here in the top of the screen. I will also put one down in the video description so you guys can go check that out, or just do a search for Blue Oval Media. He is out there. He is, I will say, kind of fresh to YouTube on his own. His Terminator swapped car has been out there a while, but I think he's kind of broke free of everything else he was kind of doing and launched his own individual piece. And who knows, maybe he'll show up doing top 15 later on with me or with Infamous Project or other creators. But go check him out. He's got some good stuff out there. All right, so question 14, what events are you going to attend or planning to attend in 2020?
So this is always a very challenging question for me, not because I'm not organized or that I can't plan. It's my logistics and my location. So being over in Dubai, I do get a fair amount of vacation, but I need to be very strategic on when I take it. And it's not a close flight. I'm usually I'm 14 hours to get to Toronto. I'm 16 hours if I want to get to Texas, and all the logistics in between. So what I am committed to this year is the Foxtoberfest 2020 in October. I would like to do Mustang Week, and I'll probably get over to SEMA. Probably won't have a car in SEMA, but I would like to get there again just for more networking and seeing what's out there. But that's it. It's going to be stuff towards the end of the year. If I can get a couple local shows in Canada, maybe in the summer, I will do that. Maybe the De Silva Racing show again this August. But other than that, that's my bandwidth for shows this year.
Well, hopefully you get out to all the events you have planned for 2020. And with that, we will jump into the last question, number 15. What is your favorite car of all time?
My favorite car or truck of all time. I could probably rhyme off a lot of different options here, but I'm actually going to go with something that I own. So 20 years ago probably would have been my dream, and 10 years ago I was fortunate enough to attain it, and 10 years later, speaking from experience, that still hasn't changed. So I think that says a lot about this vehicle, and that is a BMW E39 M5. And this is arguably the best BMW that they ever built. And I would argue that it was probably one of the best vehicles, hands down, ever built. And, you know, there's just something about this car, driving it, the way that it looks and feels and performs, that is just incomparable. It's luxury, it's performance, it's styling and aesthetics. It's just got a little bit of everything. And, you know, I've owned a lot of vehicles, and that, you know, I've even had my Ferrari F430, and you know, I had that for about 3 years, but I still enjoy that E39 more than anything. Like if I'm just, if it's in a straight line, if it's in corners, I'm braking, it's a road trip. I think that's why, what's his name, Alex Pompisi, something like that, has used his in the gumball numerous amount of times, because and it's actually a car that me and some friends created our own gumball and did 3,000 miles across the US up to Canada when I actually shipped that car from Dubai to North America. An amazing car to drive, especially for long distances. So there you have it, guys. That's my dream car, and still is my dream car, and fortunate enough to have it. And so very thankful for that.
Well, I think that is a great choice in an M5 as your favorite vehicle of all time. So with that, guys, we are done for today. That is 15 questions with the Infamous Project. Now, if you haven't been to his channel before, I will post up a link up here, and I will also put a link to his channel down in the description. So again, thanks for watching all of this today with 15 questions with the Infamous Project. Now, if you'd like to be a part of this collaboration, you know what the 15 questions are, because that's now twice I've done them. You can let me know and drop a comment down below. We'll get together and we'll put you on the list for the collaboration. If you have questions that you'd like to ask but haven't been answered yet, I'm already starting to plan another collaboration with potentially some of these creators that will be in this current round, and I'm also looking for new ones. So if you'd like to join that or throw in some questions, leave a comment down below, leave a question down below, and I will start compiling my list for the next round of collaborations. So again, thanks to the Infamous Project for spending some time answering my questions for this collaboration, and I wish him the best of success and safe travels. He travels the world for work, and you never know where he's going to be at. So with that, guys, we are out for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.